Recently, I ran my first ever sub 3 hour marathon. I looked at the marathon distance for many years and thought that sub 3 hour mark was a dream, something completely out of reach for an average runner like myself. Growing up, I was always the kid that was last in every single race on sports day, year in, year out, without fail. So I was never a gifted or talented runner by any stretch of the imagination. I have been running for a few years up to this point. I've done loads of different events from 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, all the way up to ultra marathons, but I always thought that the sub 3 hour mark was something out of my reach. In this video, I'll share what I've changed in my running throughout the last few months, which has allowed me to achieve that sub 3 hour marathon mark. Firstly, and the most important thing, is that I increased my weekly mileage quite significantly, up to approximately 60 miles a week, or roughly 100 kilometers if you measure in kilometers. In my opinion, the greatest predictor of race performance in virtually any race is your weekly mileage. By running more, I was able to increase my cardiovascular fitness and my body's adaptations to handling stress over a greater period of time, and that translated into a better performance during the marathon itself, and it's allowed me to get fitter quickly. The biggest takeaway you can take from this video is to increase your weekly mileage if you're looking to run a sub 3 hour marathon. In terms of the training itself, I followed the 80-20 principle, which is something that you may have heard of if you're a keen runner. This is basically where you split your training into 80% easy, comfortable runs and 20% faster, higher heart rate runs. The majority of my training runs were 7 to 10 miles at a very easy pace, often in zones 2 to 3 out of 5, which I tracked using my Garmin. These runs at this easy pace allowed me to increase my weekly mileage sustainably, minimizing the risk of injury, and it really allowed me to build a decent base of fitness so that I could perform that sub 3 hour marathon on race day. In terms of the other 20% of faster runs, these were often weekly track interval sessions that I did with my local running club, and I also threw in a handful of 5K park runs on Saturday mornings here and there. And these were really good to get me used to running at a faster pace for much longer, which mimic the conditions of race day. In terms of nutrition, at the start of 2023, I downloaded a free app called MyFitnessPal, and I started counting my calories. I set goals at the start of the year in terms of how many calories I wanted to eat every day. I broke that up into the various macronutrients, protein, fats and carbohydrates, and I tried to stick to that as good as possible throughout my training. And I've got to say, it made me feel much better in terms of my health and well-being, and it's also allowed me to ensure that I get the right foods in every single day to fuel consistent training over a long time period, which translated into this sub 3 hour marathon mark. It may sound a bit over the top and boring to start counting your calories, but for me personally, it's been a massive help. I'm someone that is prone to eating a load of rubbish when I haven't got a particular plan or diet in place, so it's been really good for holding me accountable to my nutrition goals. Next, I made a massive point about improving my sleep. There's massive links between quality of life and just general well-being and your duration of sleep. If you're getting fewer than 7 hours of sleep every night, there's a big chance that you're sleep deprived and you're not going to be functioning the best that you possibly can be in your day-to-day life. And when it comes to athletic performance, we need plenty of sleep to make sure that our bodies are able to repair themselves from training so that we're able to better perform in whatever athletic pursuits that we choose. In the case of my own running, I found that getting at least 7 hours of sleep a night made a massive difference. Before race day, I was able to get 7.5 hours in, which made me feel revitalized, energized, and ready to rock up and go at the start line on race day. So don't underestimate the benefits of sleep. It's completely free, and it is probably one of the most important things for our general health and well-being and athletic performance. Okay, we've talked about before the race, now let's talk about the race itself. I'll be completely honest with you, I didn't actually plan to run a sub 3 hour marathon. When I rocked up at the start line, my only game plan was to run for as fast as I could, for as long as I could, and see what happened. And when I finished the first half of the marathon in under 1 hour and 30 minutes, I knew that I was in for a good shot at getting that sub 3 hour mark. So I just went for it. In terms of pacing, I would say don't go overboard in the first half of the race if you can. Try and stay close to that 6 minute 50 second per mile pace, and in the second half of the race you may find that you have some energy spare from taking it slightly easier in the first half of the race, so that you can go for a negative split, which is always seen as the gold standard for runners. In terms of race day nutrition, I like to keep it simple. I have some complex carbohydrates in the form of a bowl of porridge in the morning with a banana. That keeps me going for a while during the first half of the race. Then during the race itself, I'll have an energy gel every 5 to 7 miles to keep my glycogen stores topped up, and I'll also supplement that with the water that is handed out on course at any aid station whenever I feel like it. My golden rule when it comes to nutrition in any running situation is that prevention is better than a fix. So make sure that you get on your nutrition as early as possible. Eat before you're hungry, drink before you're thirsty, and that will keep you going for longer. Easier said than done. I know nutrition isn't easy. It's a massive problem for many runners, including myself. I don't always get it perfect, but I found that when you eat and drink before you're hungry or thirsty, that makes the chances of not having a complete nutrition meltdown a lot higher. And to wrap this up, for the race itself, I wore a vest rather than a t-shirt or a long sleeved running top, and the reason for this is that I wanted to keep my body as ventilated as possible to make sure that any sweat that was coming off of me wasn't getting caught up and trapped in a t-shirt or a long sleeve top. Running this fast for 26.2 miles is a massive strain in your body. It's going to get hot, it needs to cool down, so make it easier for your body by wearing something that will allow it to cool down consistently throughout the duration of the race, and you'll find that you're a lot less prone to overheating as you go for that sub 3 hour marathon. There were some highlights of what I've changed in my running routine over the last few months that allowed me to achieve my first sub 3 hour marathon. Thanks very much for watching. I've been Craig. Let me know what you thought in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.